What's up, guys? This is Dr. X for Dr. X Knows, and I'm here today to talk straight talk about fishing. I wanted to do this video to give people a sense of what it means to me to be a fisherman, how to get out there, and basically, what is the mindset you need to catch fish and to have a good time in doing it. So I'm not going to waste your time talking about rigs and types of fish to catch or spots to go to or boats to have, rods to have, because all that stuff you can find on YouTube or wherever you look, and there'll be 1,000+ videos on it. So I want to get to just talking about kind of what is the mindset and how does it help me as a human being, and what have I gained from being a fisherman for the last probably about 10 years now, maybe 10, 12 years, something like that. I've been fishing. So let's jump right into it and let's have a good time talking about fishing. No superfluous stuff going to happen today in this talk. All right. Ultimately, what I think fishing is about is fun, relaxation, and being in nature and just getting away from your daily grind. And if you keep that in mind, you'll have a good time because mainly what you're trying to do is enjoy yourself. As a person who is 63 years old, and have fished around the globe, I can tell you it's really about adult fun. Let's just get down to it. Unless you're into tournament fishing, which I am not, or you're just really competitive and you have to catch a fish every time you go out there, or you're trying to compete with people who are standing around you to show that you're this, that, and the other. It's just about fun, having a good time, relaxing, being outside in nature, and getting away from work. If you have a job, they always say, the worst day fishing is always better than a day at the job. And that's basically true. If you can be out there in the breeze or even in the sun and the heat and not sitting in the office behind a desk looking at a computer clicking away, you're having a good time. And that's what I believe it's really gets down to. Because when you're out there, not only are you enjoying yourself, challenging yourself, trying to learn something new or perfect what you do as a hobby, you're meeting a lot of great people and a lot of interesting people out there. Almost every day I go out fishing, I'm going to run into somebody who wants to chat or somebody I want to chat up. And people who are out there fishing, whether it's on a jetty or on a pier or on the bank or at the marina, wherever you may find yourself in the river, they want to talk about fishing adventures, and they'll want to tell you, the biggest fish they caught, the type of rig they used, how much it weighed. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you can talk about when you're talking about fishing, the place, the location, the spot, but just have a good time kind of getting into the human aspect, the relational aspect of fishing, which people often don't talk about. What I've learned though is that most fishermen tend to be pretty introverted. So they'll talk to you while they're on the water. But if you want to get with them and just kind of talk about stuff later on, like fish together later on, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to happen because they really just value their time alone. The other thing I say is be committed to learning something hard because fishing is hard. I mean, many people will say they go out there and never catch a fish, and they believe that catching a fish is basically a myth. And for a long time, for me, that's how it was. I remember when I was a foster parent back in 2009 and 2010, my foster son liked to fish. And we go out. We went out. I remember going to Walmart with him and picking out tackle rods and fishing line and so forth. And got out there. We were in Dallas fishing at Lake Joe Pool or Joe Pool Lake, which is in the southwest part of Dallas County, Dallas, Texas. And we sit out there in the summer heat, baking, catching nothing. But we were together, and I was basically frustrated because I wanted to, catch something. And he said he liked to fish, and he had fished a lot and caught a lot, but for some reason we never did it. So I realized then that it's a hard thing to do, and you need to kind of put in the time. Got to get in there and kind of grind it out to figure out, what it takes to land a fish, not just to get it on your hook, but to actually bring it up off the out of the water into your boat or onto the bank. That's a catch. Be prepared to spend a lot of money on tackle and gear because there's always something to buy. And a lot of that tackle is designed to catch you as the fisherman. All right. They say it's designed to catch a fish, and a lot of it will. But the main thing it's going to catch is you and your dollars. So be prepared to walk into a tackle section of a Walmart and just be entranced by all the stuff that's there. Whether it's soft plastics or hooks or swivels or rods and reels and nets and fishing containers and tackle boxes. It's always something to buy. And I know when I go into a Walmart now, I have to resist going back to the tackle section or to the fishing section because that's my first inclination if I don't have a list with me. So I go in there with a list to buy groceries, and I have to say, hey, XK, don't go to the tackle section because I know if I go in there, I'm going to end up buying something. And that's just how it is. The other reason that you buy a lot of tackle is because you lose a lot of tackle. I mean, there's just a lot of tackle that gets lost in everyday fishing. If you go out, say, fishing for bass or for catfish, they usually hang out in areas where there are trees or stumps or something is in the water to attract the fish. And that means that you're going to be throwing your line towards things that will catch your hook and not let it go. A tree branch, for example, you hook a tree branch, most likely you're not going to lose that hook and whatever is attached to that line. So things like that just always cause you to lose tackle. And once you lose it, that means you got to go back and replace it. That takes money. So just be prepared to go through that. And I know I've been through places where I thought I could fish around a tree or fish just in front of the tree or to the side of the tree. And I'll try and try. And eventually, I'm going to get caught. That's just how it is. It's just the kind of luck of the draw or the odds are against you that eventually you're going to lose some tackle. So that's one reason you're going to lose money or spend money. Excuse me, because you're just going to have to replace it. And here's one thing that people probably won't tell you is that you lose it because you have accidents. I was fishing down in Costa Rica a couple of years ago. I was kayaking and I was out by a reef, which separates the kind of the inshore fishing from the deep, turbulent waters. So the guys told me, go out just past the reef. Don't go out too far past the reef, and then you can fish there. And I fished there for a couple hours out in the sun. It was hot. I caught a few fish out there. But then as I was coming back in, I knew I had to get past the surf. And when you're coming in on water from the ocean that has a lot of surf, it can be real tricky in a kayak. And I had only done this one time and didn't realize what the trick of it was because the guy told me, don't let the surf turn your kayak sideways. You got to go into the surf. So I'm going back into the shoreline and that surf is coming out and I know it's coming. And I start paddling, but I'm paddling too slow. And just as he said, don't do, it happened to me. I got turned sideways, and before I know it, my kayak was capsized and I'm out of the water. All my stuff is gone. I lost almost a brand new pair of Smith fishing sunglasses, which ran about 500 bucks, and all that tackle was gone. So I tried my best to find it. It was gone. Happened to me another time in a boat. I got capsized in a small boat fishing down in Corpus Christi. And then most recently, about 2 weeks ago, I was out fishing and trying to catch um, sheep's head. And I came back from a spot, put my tackle down right next to my truck, went around the truck to load up my rods, forgot the tackle was back there, and drove off. left the tackle. Next morning, I realized I don't have my tackle. Went back, it's gone. So things like that happen. You forget, you lose stuff, you have accidents, and all that costs you money. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is how do you acquire skill in fishing? Well, it comes from trying out a lot of techniques. I mean, you have to just try and try and try until you can get it down. I've been trying my best to get down certain types of fishing for certain types of fish, like for, I just mentioned sheep's head, or for redfish, or for salmon, which I really haven't gotten. I've gotten pretty good at that. But I'm not good at fishing with soft plastics, which are the fish lures that you use if you're going to be bass fishing. A lot of people use artificials for ocean fishing, fishing for anything out there. You can fish with lures. But for some reason, I have a lot of this soft plastic paddle tails and stuff in my tackle, but I never feel like I'm that competent with it and really that good at doing it. Partly because it requires a lot of repetition. And I prefer to fish with bait, which you just cast out and then allow to sit and wait till the fish will find it. And then there's also the thing that some fish require special rigs, and those take a lot of technique and practice to get used to. So, for example, we like to go to Alaska in the summer and fish for salmon. That has a special rig, unlike any other fishing rig for any other type of fish. Same with fishing in Washington State for steelhead, which we go to fish for in January, in early February. You got to have a special setup for those, and those require that you go out and buy special clothing. You got to have waders. Typically, you want to have waders that come up to your chest, and you got to buy boots, and you got to buy certain tackles. You got to buy a certain type of rod. So all these things are kind of specialty items if you're going to fish for certain types of fish. Fishing for bass, which I believe is probably the most popular thing here in the South, you want to have a bunch of soft plastics and certain types of rod. And when you really get into it, you're going to want to get you a boat, which is going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars, and motors and just all types of gear. So just know that this game requires a lot of commitment and dedication. If you don't have that, you think you're just going to go out there and cast your line, catch a fish, you are mistaken, my friend, and you're going to be frustrated and think that, it's impossible to do. It's not impossible. It just takes a lot of time and practice. And that is endless. Okay. It's just endless. So let's just reiterate in this point, fishing requires a lot of dedication and commitment, and it takes a lot of time. And it takes a lot of, getting out there, sometimes in not the best conditions. So here right now, I'm talking to you on the the on March 31st, 2025. The weather here in San Antonio or Elmendorf, where I live, is nice. It's about 74 degrees outside. It's humid, but it's not hot. The sun is out, kind of overcast slightly, but a lot of days you'll go out there, it'll be less than optimal. It'll be windy, it'll be cold, extremely cold. It can be just hot and muggy and sweaty. It'll just be beaming down sun, and it can just be hot with bugs and mosquitoes. So all that stuff requires you that you be in kind of resilient and be able to be in and endure difficult conditions. Every now and then, like this time of year, where the weather is in the 70s, low 70s, ideal. If I go to the ocean, it'll be perfect out there. It'll be 70 some degrees, a nice breeze, no bugs, and the sun will be, beaming, but you can put your hat on, but you won't be hot. And as long as you got sunscreen, you're good to go. All right, my next point is that there'll be some days where you won't catch any fish. All right. A lot of days. Let me just reiterate, a lot of days. So I have to say that you have to acknowledge, or I want you to acknowledge that when I go out, I would say probably at least 40% of the time, I won't catch anything, or I'll catch something that's undesirable. So here in Texas, I'm in South Texas, go to Corpus Christi a lot, or down to Galveston. They're both a couple hour drive at least. You go down there, and what you catch on the ocean is a lot of what they call hard head or um, gaff top catfish. And those are fish that are edible, but they're not the best tasting, and they're slimy, and to handle them, you risk getting stuck by those dorsal fins. And if you get stuck by those dorsal fins on a gaff top catfish, it is painful enough to send you to the ER or ED, emergency department. And trust me, I've done it, and I've been to the ER as a result of it, and it sucks. So catch those fish, it's like catching nothing, right? You don't keep them, you just should throw them back out there, and they don't count for a solid catch because you're usually catching, trying to catch sport fish, which would be your bass, your redfish, your speckled trout, your blue cats, or what else you catch here? You catch a lot of sheep's head right now. Sometimes people might want to catch jacks. Some people go out for sharks. Whatever it is you're catching, you want to catch the species that you're looking for. It is not going to be a catfish that you're going to throw back, or fish that are too small, or some fish that we just use for bait, such as like sand trout. You might catch a sand trout. You can cut that up and use it as a bait, or a perch, for a bigger fish. So keep in mind that when you go out there, you're going to spend a lot of time catching nothing. And people don't show that on those videos on YouTube. All they show you is what they did catch. And often they catch some nice fish. But know that, for example, last week we were out, we spent 3 hours out on the beach. We caught one really nice red, 27 inches, and three or four gaff top, threw them back. So out of 3 or 4 hours, all we had was one take-home fish, which we brought home, cooked yesterday, ate, delicious. But you're going to spend, a lot of time for that one fish, and that's just part of the game. So be aware that, like in baseball, they say if you hit 300, you're outstanding. In fishing, it's probably about the same. It really is. So now we've gotten down to what I want to call is the real secret to catching fish and being a successful person at this game. And that is, drum roll, you need to have what I call an addiction mindset. That means that you're going to be obsessed with fishing. And obsession means that you're going to go out there under a lot of different conditions and be prepared to sit and deal with the conditions, whether it's the mosquitoes or the flies or the heat or the cold weather, and just grind it out, because it's a grinding type of sport. And you need to be at least semi obsessed with it to put in the time, to put in the grind, and to just deal with the conditions that are out there, and to deal with the fact that you're going to be wasting a lot of tackle, wasting a lot of bait, and not catching anything but sun and rays and suntan or mosquito bites or whatever it is out there, sunburn. That's all you're going to catch. And be satisfied with that and go home, chalk it up as part of the sport, and not feel bad about it. I mean, some days I do leave with no fish, feeling like, damn, I wish I caught something, because it just give you a sense of competence and it give you a sense that you accomplished something. But sometimes you just kind of are going to deal with that. And I would say if you get good enough because you become really disciplined at going out and trying even when you're not. If you get up to being, catching fish on 3 out of 10 outings, you're in really good shape and you should be happy with that. And I think you will be happy with that. And just be mindful that that other 70% is just part of the sport. So that's really what I wanted to tell you today. And like I said, I wanted to give you some straight talk. You can hit me on the comments with how you fish and what your experience is, and hit that subscribe button if this has been at all helpful to you in becoming a fisherman or a fisherwoman. And I look forward to talking more about this as always and hearing from you. And as they always say in fishing, tight lines. Keep your lines tight. That way, when the fish bites, you'll see the tug, and the tug is the drug. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Dr. X for Dr. X Knows. We'll see you next time. Be sure to check out this video. Peace.